All right, folks, welcome in another episode, Ain't No Seeds podcast. And boys, as that countdown was just going, I was thinking back when the last time we recorded was, and I realized it was a pregame, our first ever pregame show before Texas Tech. And so we have not been on here since the absolute beatdown the Hawks took at Texas Tech. But luckily, we get more than just that to talk about because we did have some positivity happen on Saturday with a great second half and a rare road win for the Kansas basketball Jayhawks. So clap it up. Shout out to them. I think the theme of this pod, I don't know. I think I'm still having a really hard time deciding if I can buy in on this team. I tweeted yesterday morning before the game, like, it's really hard. I can't quit this team because if you got the one Saturday, which we did, and then you got two home games coming up, and then you got a game at Waco, it's like, they could rattle off four straight. And then you got, all of a sudden, did I just lose you guys? Nope, we're good.
No, you're good.
You froze on me. But so let's just start with that. Where are we at on this team? Did Saturday, obviously Monday's as bad as it gets, but no McCullough. The team was exhausted.
Yeah.
Saturday we look better. I guess tell me how much each of you took away from Saturday from a standpoint of thinking this team has maybe started to turn a corner.
Yeah, obviously the first half was really ugly. They were down double digits with, I think they were down 11 with 2:05 left, and then they kind of got a spark from Jamari McDowell, who a lot of KU fans like and think should play more. He kind of changed that game, honestly, going into half, just giving KU some momentum. He got an offensive board off DeJuan's missed three, and then elite possession defensively to end the half. They cut it to 5. So they were down double digits with 2 minutes left, cut it to 5, had some momentum going into halftime. So I was feeling good about them winning. It was definitely ugly in the second half. Both teams couldn't score. So I still feel, I've said it, I still feel fine about the starting 5. I don't think you look around the country at a bunch of teams, there's really not a lot of teams that are crazy deep. You play 6-7 guys. There's not like electric scores that come off the bench throughout college hoops. So still obviously worried about the depth, but I think we kind of had a feeling that the depth would be an issue going into the year. When you obviously lose Arterio. We knew we wouldn't be deep. Obviously didn't think El Marco and Timberlake would be as kind of bad as they've been, but I still feel fine. I think it's going to take, you're going to need some injury luck. You're going to need to stay out of foul trouble in the tournament. But I don't know if you guys agree with that, but there's not a lot of teams throughout the country that are very deep. So I still feel fine about the starting 5, top 10 defense on Ken Pom. I truly don't think we're the 46th worst offense in the country. I know it might look like that at some points, but I still think this team's fine, and I'm still feeling fine about their chances going forward.
AB?
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I disagree. I'm quite worried about it. And we've talked about it a little bit, but the offense to me, even though statistically and just name value of the starting 5 sounds awesome. You start naming the guys and it's like, yeah, this team should be really fucking good. They don't work together in my eyes. And that's something that they've dealt with all season. They go in stretches where they look awesome. Most of those stretches are at Allen Fieldhouse, which I've been saying we can't take much out of those games at Allen because it's just a different sport in that building. But even after yesterday, man, unless McCullough can start being significantly more efficient and maybe even smarter with the shots that he's taking, I can't tell you the last time I was that upset with a star player on KU in a long time. It was truly, I threw my phone at one point. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? The three, he took 2 threes in a 2-minute stretch where he was just standing on the wing guarded and he just pulled up with 15 seconds on the shot clock. And I was like, dude, no, stop it. Please stop. I'm begging you to stop. I think it's 4 of his last 5 games. If you take out the Houston game,
dude,
he's missed double-digit shots. It's and I know we kind of got to ride or die with him because he's our second best option scoring. And then if we move to Hunter, I have some problems with him too, because even though if he's putting up 20 It just feels like he's got zero confidence in a jumper. He hasn't been the big, strong, tough, and I know that's not really his style. He's a finesse dude, but it gets frustrating watching a 7'2" guy just trying to like fade away and put up this soft hook off like the backboard and going like it just. There are problems with the stars of this team that I'm taking away. And then, like, just the main question of I don't know that they're a fit together, even though they're all pretty good at the sport of basketball. So I don't feel any better, or I didn't feel any worse after Monday when they got blown out, and I don't feel any better about them after the win yesterday. I just kind of think Monday was a bad spot, and yesterday, Oklahoma, I'm not that high on Oklahoma at all. Plus, and that's the other thing. Oklahoma had two guys that were out, and we still kind of, for the first 30 minutes, struggled to look competent. Even first half was ugly, and I don't know. Like it was one of those wins where I'm excited that they finally won a game on the road, but Lordy, was I like just get through the end of the game because this is not making me feel any better about this team.
Yeah, I don't think I'm taking the win as like, gosh, yes, we beat OU on the road, what a win. But I am taking it as like a, when a shooter's in a slump. And you're just like, he's got to see one go in. He's got to see one go in. I feel like we just needed to have that feeling in a road locker room of, there's nothing better than winning on the road in conference play. And I think these guys just kind of needed to feel that and get that kind of confidence and Kansas swagger back. I don't know the best way to say that, but like that's what Bill Self has done forever is he wins on the road. So it's been very weird. And it almost feels like it's been a mental thing with this team on top of just not being, like you said, AB. And like, that's the problem I also have with getting bought in on this team. I was tweeting out Monday that this team does share similarities to the 2019 Kansas team. You mentioned Hunter. He's very similar to Diedrich. He can fill up the stats. He can go get you 20 and 15. But outside of that, how does Hunter really affect the game? Not a lot. You talk about Marco not living up to the hype. You have the Grimes comparison there, and the Furphy and Ochai getting his red shirt pulled comparisons, and the injury with Doak. But I'll say this: as we were in meltdown mode on Monday, I was making that comparison because it's fun, and it was just like, let's get as negative and let's melt down as much as possible. The difference being, we got our star back. Kevin is back. Doak wasn't coming back. Vic left that team.
People forget.
So like it's fun, I guess not fun, but it is interesting to look back and compare the two teams, but it's really not that close because of the fact that you are getting McCullough back. The question is though, just because McCullough's back, is he healthy?
No.
Like, well, he's not healthy, but like, can he get fully healthy? Because I think, like you said, the 2 threes he took from the corner or the elbow just out of nowhere, I think was him just not being healthy and not wanting to attack the rim. And so he settled for a jumper. But
why does he have to settle for a jumper instead of passing it to something like that? That was my biggest thing. Like, if you're not healthy, don't fucking hurt the whole team and the whole fan base, which is, I felt like he was actively trying to do at points yesterday. Obviously not, but I don't know. I will say this: there's a direct correlation when Furphy's shooting well and to when he's not shooting well of how good the offense is.
Yeah,
like he was one for his last 11 or something in the 3 or 4 games prior to yesterday, and he hit 3, I believe, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he hit some big ones from the corner. Kev, obviously, he looked about 80% to me, and I feel like I'm sure he thinks there's a ton of pressure on him to score it because the guys around him aren't really a threat to do that. Obviously, you got Hunter, who they try to force feed all the time. KJ's been solid, obviously, besides that tech. So I feel like Kev, there's probably a lot of pressure on him to really be the man and obviously take that next step and get drafted this summer. So I feel like that does come into effect with the shot selection. But I don't think he's close to healthy right now. And I was just looking, he's 17 for his last 56 from 3, which sounds awful, but it's still 30%.
I thought that was his field goal percentage.
So he's had a rough stretch, but I really do think he was playing. I don't know how long he's been playing through injury, but he obviously sat against Oklahoma State, and then right after the K-State game where he stunk, couldn't make free throws, he sat the next game too. So he's probably been playing through whatever injury is nagging him now for a while. And I think once he's 100%, he'll be fine. Feels like a guy that could have a great March. So I think once he's 100%, they'll be fine. But yeah, we need What did you guys think about DeJuan from an offensive standpoint? He obviously didn't shoot it very well, but for DeJuan to take 12 field goal attempts, that's kind of what we talked about, how we need him to be aggressive and defenses to kind of respect him. And OU sagged off, but he kept firing.
I love it because, 4-12 from the field, but the 1-3 he made kind of sparked the entire that kind of got us going in the second half. He makes a 3. I think McCullough then made a 3, and then Furphy makes a 3 a few plays later. So, that's what he's got to do. We needed a shot at that point, and he just stepped into one, and he made it. So I am fully okay. I don't think he's going to go 4-12 every game. But I think DeJuan, I know he only had 1 steal, but it does feel like he's doing those vintage DeJuan, getting his hands on the ball. And I don't know how did he – KJ's dunk that he got, was that a KJ steal or was that DeJuan's 1 steal?
DeJuan kind of pressured him, and then the guy got the ball back. KJ stole it and dunked it on a breakaway.
So it's like those things that I think DeJuan's doing more of, where I kind of felt like he wasn't. So I've been very happy with what DeJuan. I mean, 11-7. It's kind of what we've said. If we get 11-7 out of DeJuan, this team could make a run in March, I think.
Yeah, and also people get upset with him, and I know we lost this game, but at K-State, he made some winning plays down the stretch where I thought KU might pull this one out. Against Baylor at home, where he's on a twisted ankle, barely moving. He hit clutch free throws. He hit a clutch floater. And then yesterday he made some big plays down the stretch too. So as long as he does that, he's good down the stretch, taking care of the ball. When we have leads, breaking presses, knocking down free throws, he's been pretty good from the line. So I feel good about that. Hunter, I guess shooting wise, AB, we've talked about this for a little bit. Manhattan, he had a ton that were in and out, but then Lubbock, he airballed one 5 feet short. He's 2 for his last 23 from 3, which is I think 8 or 9%.
AB, you said you're kind of, I guess I can't remember what you said, out on Hunter's shot.
No,
I actually think, I don't know what you said then, but I think Hunter's going to turn it around and start making a lot of mid-range jumpers. I think this has been very fluky. I think the beginning of the year was also fluky. I think he's going to kind of get back to what he is here in a few weeks.
What's more fluky, though? Because both of them were long stretches of basketball. It felt like the first half of the season he was awesome, conference play hit, and he just, like Braden said, 2 of 23 in conference play. And it's if it was a game-to-game thing, or one game he was 3 for 4 from 3 and hit a couple mid-range, and then the next game he was 0 for 5 mid-range and 3-point combined, I would feel a little more confident. But it also just feels like I've seen it for 2 months straight at this point. I have a hard time seeing it turn around on the snap of a finger. But I could be wrong. I mean, basketball's weird. Guys go through stretches, and it's impossible to predict. But, I don't know. It's just been so prolonged at this point that I almost wonder if he's adding pressure to himself and overthinking the shots he's taking, because it's if he stays down low the entire time, it takes KJ out almost. It takes DeJuan out a little bit. It kind of stops the whole offense from running. But when he's open, he's got to shoot it. I almost wonder if he's just in his head and it's a mental thing, because he's been a good shooter for his whole career. So I don't know. It's frustrating. It changes the dynamic just overall. But
I think out of everything, and I don't know what we would say a goal for Hunter's shooting percentage would be. And I'm not too concerned about the threes. I probably want Hunter taking 1 or 2 max per game. Mm-hmm. But my thing is the mid-range, because that to me is what he really needs to have, because like you said, and we've talked about all year, him and KJ, it's a weird fit. It feels like it hurts Hunter's ability sometimes to get easy looks really inside the paint. So I think he has been settling for a lot of the mid-range, because that's where he gets the most space. And if he's not making that shot, then I am worried. I think he'll get to a point where he's making it enough to where I can, I think I trust him with it. I'd be interested to see what his percentage was for the whole year at Michigan on mid-range shots like that. But
I'm sure someone has that. I also wish he was a little bit better of a passer, or more open to passing. So I feel like once he catches the ball within 6 feet, doesn't matter if it's taking him 1 second or 8 seconds, he's going to find a way to go up and get a shot off. Which, it's not the worst thing in the world, but guys are going to start collapsing on him if he kicks out to Furf or McCullough, hopefully get an open shot.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that's part of my frustration too with the big boy.
do you guys think Jamari deserves more minutes, or is it kind of just to a point where he's probably going to play a lot in the future? I mean, he gives good minutes. He doesn't really upset you. He doesn't make mistakes. He plays hard. He seems poised.
I'll say this. I have a hard time I am so out on Elmarko right now. It's like, to me, it's like if you told me McDowell
should play.
If you start giving McDowell Marco's minutes, like, my feelings aren't going to be hurt. I still weirdly, like Nick Timberlake, he's just got a stranglehold on me. I still have this belief that he can start making threes. I don't think Marco can. So I really struggle to see where Marco at all is needed. But yeah, I don't think it is hilarious looking at the minutes that our bench played this Saturday. 4. So Jamari played 4, Elmarko played 4, Parker played 4, and Nick played 10. Self just straight up was like.
In the second half, too, I think they played 6 combined minutes on the bench. And I think it was McCullough that got in foul trouble late in the second half, or like 10 minutes left in the second half or something.
Maybe.
I think Kevin came out for sure for a few minutes because
he had 4.
Yeah, so like that must have been all of them.
We've talked about the bench and how at this point we don't even need these guys to come in and be insane scoring threats. We need them to come in and just give good minutes, spell the starters good minutes like Parker does. Parker, absolutely an option off the bench, and then maybe one of Jamari and Timberlake. But I was talking about it yesterday with a couple friends. In March, they always talk about how the timeouts are longer. These guys are getting more rest. Like, you're going to go with your top guys. Like, they're going to play, obviously, 35-ish minutes. So, yeah, I worry about the bench, but I'm also looking at box scores from, like, all the top-ranked teams in the country last night, and there's just – you play 6 or 7 guys. Like, I really like North Carolina. They have a really good point guard. Obviously, Baycott's been there since 2012. They have 2 studs, but you look at their bench, they're lucky to play – a 6th guy every night more than like 10 minutes. So
I know. So
there's not teams that are crazy deep. So I know we worry about the bench, but
I think what I had been very worried about the bench, but I've now just accepted like the bench is what it is. And I know that KU can win in March without a bench, but now my fear, and like AB said at the jump, like, I don't know if I'm all in on this starting 5. The names are there. The experience is there. But
who do you worry about right now?
It's like it's not a personal. It's.
Oh, I get it.
It's not that I personally worry about any of these players. It's more that I worry about how they all can play together. Like, it just feels like DeJuan hurts McCullough, or McCullough hurts DeJuan because they're both not huge outside threats, and then KJ hurts Hunter because KJ's got to be in the paint and his guys can just sag off and help. And it's stuff we've said all year, but like, I think that's where I'm having trouble getting really all the way bought back in, is because I convinced myself, they'll figure something out. They'll start to, see better spacing. The offense will continue to get better. And it's just like, it really hasn't, even with, I guess Furphy has added him being able to, like, it's still crazy to think about this team was beating UConn and the teams we beat with Elmarko starting. Like, it's crazy to think about.
And even, I know it's the Allen Fieldhouse effect, but you play the best defense in the country and you're just cooking. Even Kevin, that game when he's going through his slump, I believe he was 7 for 8 from the floor. So, yeah, I know it's Allen. We always play 10 times better there, but that's the best defense in the country no matter what. And you shoot it like 60% from the floor. So they've shown they're capable. I think that they show up for the bigger games. I know on the road that hasn't really been true, but I think it could give them some confidence going forward that they won a gritty game on the road. I know OU is missing some guys, but they still had their best players playing. And it kind of seemed late towards the end of the first half, like, here we go again. They're going to get pumped on the road. They're down 11, and they found a way to end up winning by double digits. So I hope that gives them some confidence going forward, because they have 2 really tough road games in these last 5 games.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys listen to much of Bill's post game, but he said he was talking about, getting a road win, and now we've got a week off, which I think is sneaky, very, very, very needed, and will like be something I could see us looking back on being like that week is where everything kind of changed. But Bill said, you go and you find a way to win these 2 home games. And then he said the classic, I love when he says it, but he's like, you're going to have a really turned up team going into those final 3 games because they're big. He was like, those are big games that we've got late in the year. And it just kind of made me feel like Bill knows that he gets a week with these guys, no games. They can truly lock in on with practice. And then they get 2 home games, which they're going to be like Texas. They should be 5+ point favorites, and BYU.
Oh, yeah.
So they should be, knock on wood, but they should win the 2 home games. And then it's like, I kind of have a feeling Bill thinks this team could very much go in and win at Baylor. And
yeah. So I'm sitting here looking at 12-6. I know you'd have to win one of those tough road games, but win these next 4 and I think you're probably playing for a share at Houston.
Yeah,
I know they got to lose one more, but I would say the goal is to wrap up Big 12 play at 4-1. You finished through this really tough league 12-6. If I said that after Monday night when we lose by 30, I think anyone would take that. So I think it's very likely that game at Baylor is at least a tight game. So I think it's pretty realistic. You finish 4-1, hopefully worst case 3-2, because you should win all 3 games at home. That's just the mindset as a KU fan.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the whole Big 12 race because I'm disgusted at Iowa State's schedule and how easy it is. They're going to win the league, but I don't want to get off. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to know, AB, real quick. So, I keep saying, and I tweet it out, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm all in on this team. I don't know if I'm fully bought in. But, I was then thinking, what does that really mean? What does it mean for us to be bought in? Does that mean we think, is that as simple as they can win a national title? I think when I say it, it's more along the lines of, I think this team can go make a Final Four run. I can visualize a Final Four run. When you're thinking along those lines, or both of you can answer this question, but when we're talking about whether we like the team or we're bought in on the team, what does that mean to you?
I think to me, it feels like an interview question. To me, it's simply just a confidence thing. Going into Selection Sunday, it's usually a 50-50 of if I am locked the fuck in, I know exactly who I want in the region. I know exactly where I want to go. I know exactly who I do want to see, who I don't want to see, this and that. And then there's other years where it's I'm excited for the selection show and I'm excited to see where they go, but I'm not super confident because I feel like anyone can grab us. It's kind of how I felt last year. 2022, if you remember back to that, we're boys, give us Providence. Give us Iowa. Give us Auburn. Give us all these teams.
Yeah,
and it's because at the end of the day, regardless of how confident you are in the team, it comes down to the bracket draw. I know
you wanted Iowa too, I believe. We got Iowa.
Yeah, we did.
People forget how actually awesome it was for us to be doing a live reaction and us just basically celebrating like we won a national title when we saw our draw. Because we were so convinced that bracket was going to be an absolute nightmare.
I think this year we need to go live. We need to go live on YouTube during the selection show. I just want to have recorded evidence of our feelings when we see our name pop up. Because last year, my biggest regret of this show's history is not having 3 cameras in front of our 3 faces when we saw Houston pop up in the Midwest.
When we saw 4 eyes talking about Houston.
It was... but anyways,
it's
regardless,
it's either going to be opposite of 2022.
Right.
So
but every time we have back in 2019 during the tournament draw, we still tweet out that video every selection Sunday of me slapping my belly and going nuts. You think I was going to say something else?
Yeah,
it's rated PG, baby. A little below my belly, and then it's just that's the kind of stuff that I think is just pure electricity. I don't really know where else I'm going, but at the end of the day, to answer your question, it's simply a confidence thing. And can you picture it? Can you picture X player on the stand with the net around his neck celebrating the regional championship.
There's nothing funnier than our episode talking about the teams we didn't want, and it was every single team that was in our region after getting shafted on what region we were in and then getting shafted on teams.
It was like Chris Reynolds listened to our podcast and walked in there and was like, all right, folks, here's what we're going to do. It had to be like all these teams.
It had to be like 1,000,000 to 1 shot too that we were going to get that bracket.
Seriously,
like, of all the teams,
the 9 seed we didn't want was the 9 seed we ended up losing to, like, or the 8 seed or whatever they were. Like every single team that was a bad draw for Kansas was insane. Like,
I mean, thinking back to 2022 is crazy too, because we obviously wanted Creighton to win, and then Creighton just takes us down to the wire. Yeah. And the national champion usually finds a way to just squeak by, but it brings me to a lot of KU fans this year are just like, oh, this team, it's the worst in the Bill Self era. Like, they'll be so lucky to make the second weekend. It's like, I just feel like our fans need to sit back and just enjoy it with Coach Self. And it's like, God, after every loss, it's the end of the world. And second weekend, it's like, yeah, 48 teams don't make the second weekend. Like, it's really tough to do no matter what seed you are. This team's sitting there on the 2 line with wins over the 1 and 2 teams on KenPom, the 5th ranked team on KenPom. It's still the same roster that beat all those teams. Yeah, some of them were at Allen Fieldhouse. One of them was in Maui coming off 12 hours of rest. And obviously one of our players was going through a tragedy. So this team has shown they're gritty and they've beaten a lot of good teams. Like, I just want to sit back and enjoy it. I know losing sucks and our fans expect us to go 40-0, but it's like, dude, they're sitting on the 2 line with some really good wins.
Yeah, I do think it's very funny. Well, one, the fan base has gotten way too obsessed with saying worst team of the Self era. Like, why do we have to say that every year? Brother. It's because it's just
never been worse than a 4.
I'm telling you, 2021 was bad. Like, we forget 2021, and I know that was a weird year, but anyways, I don't want to talk too. That team was bad. But what I want to say, go ahead.
The thing that's been kind of in my head today has been, is this team that much better than that team? And I know, like, I'm off and on here, but like, would this team pump 21? I know they weren't amazing, but you still had Big Dave, you still had Oach, CB.
Yeah, but it was just those guys just weren't quite there yet. And you want to talk about a team that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like Marcus Garrett as a point guard, and you're surrounding him like CB. I mean, CB's a good shooter, but I think this team's probably on a neutral floor, like 3.5 point favorites. I mean, by the way, I don't think this team's a wagon. And I think we're talking Self teams. Like, when I say a team was bad, that's in Bill Self standards. It's just that team. Anytime that team was on the floor, I was not like convinced we could win.
I think we have a KenPom update coming from Mr. Bax.
Oh, yeah, I went back to look at like both the 21 team and this team's like adjusted efficiency as a whole, his like main ranking. And they ain't that far apart, boys. They ain't that far apart. But now, again, like, that was a weird year. I do think this team's probably a good 4.5 point favorite over that team at least. But just think what DeJuan would do to Marcus Garrett obviously they're both great defenders, but just in terms of fit positionally, they have such a point guard advantage that I don't think the rest of it really matters. And it's easy to look back at that 2021 team and be like, well, they had CB and Dave and Oach, and it's like, I was going to say, sure, but that was like before
Dave was the most hated player in Kansas history at that time, and like
you were about to cut your foot off.
Yeah,
and the bench stunk, kind of like this year's team. So,
can you guys guess who KenPom had as the second best contributor on that KU team?
Joe Yesufu. Just kidding. He wasn't on that team. Who came off our bench that year?
Tristan. That's not the guy. I was just trying to name guys. Bryce Thompson, Mitch.
Tyon Grant Foster.
That was the so he has it split up. Go-to guys was David McCormick. Major contributors is Tyon Grant Foster before it gets to significant
How? He didn't even play.
That's why I'm confused too. It says he was used in 24 to 28% of possessions. But of his possessions?
I think when he got the ball, he shot. And he had that really good game.
14% minutes.
I don't think this is the Kev we're going to get going forward. I think we're going to get good Kev. He's going to be healthy. We're going to be in every game. I know it sucks, and I think the issue has been on the road. And I know some of the games in the tournament, you'll have crowds against you, but are they really true road games? Like, you're on a neutral floor. I'm not trying to sit here and talk people into it, but I feel like we're one or two road games where we just kind of shit the bed from people still being in on this team. You lose to UCF, you lose to West Virginia. I still feel like the West Virginia and Iowa State games were just so fluky to me. They made so many jumpers. Iowa State's making garbage threes at the end of the shot clock, where there'd been games where they hardly make any threes at all. I didn't think we played that bad in both those arenas. It just came down to pretty much getting offensive boards at West Foss. So
I agree. More like fluky shooting performances has happened against this team. But I'm just laughing looking at the 2021 roster. I mean,
timeout. 20 seconds timeout.
Jostle.
You did not miss this. It's coming up. Just a little preview. We'll get back to that in a few
minutes.
Glad
someone said that.
Oh, man. I mean, this roster is hilarious. And here's why I am always going to be sold on this being the worst team of the Self era, is because after we lost to USC, Self goes to his press conference and he's like, we got to get athletic. We got to get guys. And he basically just was like, it sounded like he was ready to cut every single person on the team. It was the most fed up I think Self had ever been, and the most disappointed he had ever been with a roster he put together.
Looking back at that quote, it's almost wild how everything worked out, though, because he didn't really overhaul the roster. He brought back 3 or 4 starters. I can't remember who actually started that year.
Remy.
But he got Remy. Other than that, though, it was the same. I mean, you look at the guys that played in the championship: Mitch, Dave. Speedy, Oach, they were Jalen. They were all guys that played the year before. They really brought in Remy, and that was about it. Who was
I also think when he said that,
they were looking to be a
Ochai back. So he's sitting there thinking it ain't gonna be Bryce Thompson that's replacing Ochai next year. I got to go find someone in the portal that's athletic.
Speaking of, someone asked if we think that El Marco's transferring. I don't see how he doesn't. I think we've seen it enough time in the portal era where we get a stud freshman come in, he doesn't live up to expectations, and he's gone. I mean, he'll have an awesome career at Georgetown or some other school, just like Quentin Grimes did with Houston, and just like Bryce Thompson's doing at Oklahoma State. It just feels very similar to that. I can't imagine we go into next year with both DeJuan and El Marco on the roster.
Who are we, as a podcast, 100%? Think we're losing besides Kev, obviously? Is Furphy gone?
You guys think he is? I don't think Furphy's gone
because he can't make money NIL wise, right?
We're going to Mexico City. He can make all the bag he needs that day. Swear, that's the move. That's what they'll do.
That's kind of my point. Is Kev's gone. We think maybe Furphy. I have no idea, but you're gonna get DeJuan back, KJ back, probably get Hunter back. You're gonna have to go get a fucking go-to guy.
I was gonna say, does that excite you? Does that excite you guys going into next year? If we run it back, how are we gonna feel going into next year?
Because this team is 2022 team did that.
I know.
It's
just it's tough because before the year and even at parts during this year, we're fucking awesome. Look at the guys on this team. But man, we're having the same conversations in 2021 going into 2022. So.
But let's say you run back, and I can't believe we're about to get in hypothetical lineups for next year. But let's say you run it back and you replace Kevin with another good scoring shooter. All of a sudden, this team makes a lot more sense because you have DeJuan surrounded by 2 shooters and Furphy and whoever we're bringing in, this hypothetical man that I've made up. And then I guess you still have KJ and Hunter, which this is going to sound very bad, but
hypothetical man.
I have a very hard time ever getting excited. I just can't find a roster where KJ makes a ton of sense fit-wise. He's going to put up numbers. You have to have him on the floor. He's great, but it's really hard for him to make a ton of sense next to a guy like Hunter. I don't know.
That's what's frustrating though too, is because last year we were having the opposite conversation where we're like, KJ can't be the center. KJ cannot be the only big guy on this team. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what to do, but I don't want to get rid of him. He's a guy.
Is he that big of an issue? I think.
No,
I mean, besides DeJuan,
he's not. He's not.
Is he our best passer?
Yeah.
And we need him from an energy standpoint.
He's probably like our third best guy at bringing the ball up the court, which is not a good thing. But
the combo in this argument is it's a good conversation because obviously KJ is not a crazy threat to score outside of 10 feet. And then you have Hunter posted up under the basket. So it is a good combo to have. But I was thinking about who's going to be back because it's like, if you're Bill Self, you bring back El Marco if you don't think you can really trust him, you don't think he's going to be the player you thought he was, or do you go get a guy in the portal that you really like?
See, that's where I'm actually, I don't know. As of 2 weeks ago, I was like, El Marco's going to be back. Like, he played a lot of minutes. He just needs one more year of development. But now it's getting so bad. He's making such a little impact. It does feel like he may transfer. But is Self maybe going to be a little, like, I don't know, what's the word, worried about, like, scared of the transfer portal? I had a much better word. I just can't think of it. Like, is he almost like cautious on the timid? There it is. That's the word I wanted.
Because honestly, if Arterio's playing, or if you get any of those guys we've talked about that they were going after, is this roster, are we talking about this team completely differently? If you have a guard right now that's averaging like 15 a night next to DeJuan, are we talking about this team differently? I know Johnny's been good.
Well,
so
yeah,
but then it gives you depth too.
I just think, yeah, like that's the thing. Like, is he going to be worried about the transfer portal? Because the reason this team is in this spot is because of 2 swings and misses in the portal. Whereas, I guess the good news is if you go look at all our guys that transferred, like, it's not like Joe Yesufu's tearing it up at Washington State. And it's not like these other guys did. But the thing that would suck is if you do this again and then you have El Marco leave and the guy that you got in the portal has a Nick Timberlake type season and El Marco then goes and has a solid year. Like, I don't know.
We really got a 40-footer from Joe Yesufu and lost.
No.
Just wetted it.
I know. God. Dude. Whatever. I'm not getting into that. Let's talk. But I want to talk. God dang it. I lost my train of thought. I can't stop thinking about the Yesufu.
You were getting into Timberlake.
Can I say something?
Swinging and missing.
Yeah, go ahead, AB.
I've enjoyed Furphy getting like crazy steal numbers in a couple of these games recently.
Did he have 7 against? Yes, that's
6 against
crazy.
Baylor and 3 yesterday, and it just feels like. I'm sure that skill goes into it, but half of these are just like, what in the fuck is the opposing team doing? I can't speak English right now. I'm exhausted. Just golfed, gassed. But some of these are just like they just try and throw a pass, and he's like, "How did you not see this Australian white dude standing right here with floppy hair? What are we doing?" But it's nice to see 6 steals, 1 game is banana land.
Yes, this just caught my eye. But like, okay, I haven't really thought of it. I haven't really thought of it this way.
This is Rice Burner.
but God, you guys suck. Nobody even knows what you're talking about. Our issue is that our 2 and 3 aren't knockdown shooters. So, like, I'm not a great basketball brain all the time. If we had 2 shooters at 2 and 3, would that help KJ be a better fit next to Hunter?
No.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit. Again, when Furphy was hitting 3s consistently, it does kind of look a little bit better. But I don't know that it changes it completely.
Kev's still at 35 from 3 on the year. I know he's not like a deadly knockdown shooter, but he's gone on a bad stretch. He was shooting it a lot better early in the year. I feel like Furphy's a knockdown shooter.
No, for sure.
But I'm worried about. Do you guys worry about him like getting open and creating his own shot? Like, I feel like he's kind of struggled to not only beat guys off the dribble, but when he does, he loses it going to the lane and then doesn't finish a ton. So, but you can't put that much pressure on him like as a fan because he is a true freshman. We weren't supposed to expect this much out of him. I'm worried about him being a reliable scorer every night, but the thing with him is he's going to give you added bonuses outside of just scoring. Like he's going to crash the boards.
Yeah.
I feel like he's become a better defender. So do you guys trust him to score consistently the rest of the year? I feel like he's a guy that you put an athlete on him and just face guard him. He's not going to get open and he's not going to beat you off the dribble. And I don't know if he's going to knock down like super contested jumpers.
I just think he has to be your third option. Like you can't just all of a sudden be like, all right, Furphy's got to lead this team in scoring in March. Like he's best when he's getting open shots because Hunter passed out of a double team, or KJ, who is a good passer, which we haven't probably talked about enough, but like KJ finds him open. But yes, if we're relying on Furphy to go score 15 a game, then this team's in massive amounts of trouble. So I don't know, but I do feel confident that he can be the third best option on the team and win you a game in March because he scores 20 points.
Can I say something about the offense in general?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's an answer to this that smarter basketball minds have for me, but like, I feel like earlier in the year, we were so effective with Hunter going to screen for Juan or Kev or whoever, rolls off of it, and then whoever's handling the ball has KJ in the short corner or the guy, Hunter, rolling, and one of them was always wide open. And for whatever reason, I feel like we don't see that as often. I don't know if it's KJ feeling like he needs to be controlling the ball more often, if the defense is just taking that away. But getting KJ in the short corner, we can take 2 steps and dunk. Or if they stay on KJ, then Kev takes it all the way, or Dwan takes it all the way, or then Hunter's rolling too. If they just played like 3 game like that, I feel like that worked in non-conference consistently. And I can't remember seeing it super often once conference play really started. And I don't know if you guys have noticed that too, but like I texted you guys early, like against the Kentucky early in the year. Yeah. I was legitimately turned on watching that. It's like beautiful basketball.
I gotta think teams are just taking it away.
Yeah, like it can't be that simple to just like stop doing something that worked. Like something's going on, but it also feels like in the flow of the game, it can probably happen a few more times than it has been, at least to keep them honest. Because I feel like that almost solves the issue in a way of Hunter and KJ clogging together because they're on opposite sides of the paint. They're 15 feet away from each other when Hunter's on the left elbow and KJ's in the right short corner. That's enough spacing for those two. KJ's worked on his floater enough to where if someone's right there, he can just shoot it from 10 feet. Like it just feels like something that will work. And I don't know. I'm sure they're taking it away. I'm sure there's an answer. It's just something I noticed yesterday that was kind of frustrating.
Get in a lab and watch film.
Dude, who do you think I am?
I don't know.
I hadn't thought about Rye's point that he made earlier for like a while or all season, but he said we won all these games with El Marco in the starting lineup. We didn't really have bench production at all then. We didn't even have Furphy. Now we have a guy in there that we're talking about going to the league that's better than El Marco. We lost how many non-con games? One.
Yeah.
And they turned around the next day and beat a top 10 team. So I guess this brings me back to my friend Mr. Backs up here, who was pretty confident on this team starting 8-0 in the league, 7-1.
Dude,
so
I said
and I
they were
get
going to
it.
Go 29-2.
No, I'm not even trying to shit on you at all.
Please do.
Because I'm still trying to talk myself into this team. But you were at that point, and we were at that point with El Marco starting and not contributing at all. And so I guess what has changed for you, or I guess what did you expect from this team at that point when we had only lost one non-con game?
I think I was blinded by each individual player's stats and the fact that they just won games more often compared to how they truly fit together. And just seeing more evidence that I just genuinely don't think they fit as a starting 5 has made me lessen my enthusiasm and confidence in the boys. Because like we were saying earlier in the episode, all 5 guys, any of the 5 starters could transfer to any school in America and make them better. I truly believe that. Like they're all really good basketball players, but it doesn't what's the saying? The sum is better than the parts or whatever. You know what I mean? Sum of all parts, like those teams that the Royals in 2015, the players, they were fine. They weren't anything special. Is there one Hall of Famer on those teams?
On what, Royals teams?
The Royals 2 World Series teams.
I don't think so, unless Salvi ends up being
right.
one.
So it's like those teams weren't littered with I mean, they had all-stars because the Royals broke the voting system, but in like the non-all-star game term, they weren't running out a bunch of stars out there. They just fit really well together. Now I feel like we have a bunch of all-stars that don't fit together. It's like an all-star game or all-star team.
And I'm looking at the Tennessee box score right now. Like that's Jamari McDowell played 27 minutes that game, which I don't know how we didn't talk about that. But that was, you're not getting much from Furphy. You got 4 points from El Marco. DeJuan had 5. That was like, we go through non-con and lose 1 game. And that was still, people were on DeJuan's ass for not shooting. He wasn't shooting at all. And we still beat Kentucky, UConn, Tennessee.
But like, here's the thing. You can go back and look at all those games from earlier in the year. So Kentucky, we just made a couple more plays late in that game to win.
But it was the Stars.
I know, but it was Eastern Illinois. We had to win late in that game to win that game. UConn, it was a coin flip game that we won. Indiana, we make late plays again, coin flip finish to that game. TCU, we get lucky on a flagrant call, and then all of a sudden it just flipped. We lose a close game to UCF. We lose a close game to West Virginia. We lose a close game to Iowa State, kind of. We just stopped, but my point is that at the beginning of the year when El Marco was playing, some of those coin flip games could have gone the other way, and we would have probably been saying all the things we've been saying 3 months ago. We just found ways to win. And so I think that's my whole thing about this team is I don't think we're ever going to be bought in that they're going to be some wagon that can go win 4 games in a row in the tournament by double digits. I think we know they're going to be a 2 or 3 seed, and they're going to play in a bunch of single-digit, games that come down to the final 2 minutes, and it'll just come down to can they execute and can they handle the pressure as well as they did early in this year. They just have not been doing that here lately. So
how were you feeling Saturday when they were down 11 with 2 minutes left? Did you think, here we go again, or did you still feel fine? Because I think at that point we had like 23 points. It was like 34-23.
Oh, in the first half. I was like, yeah. No, I was pretty worried. I was kind of, feeling like they were almost quitting a little bit was how that first half felt.
I think maybe we have some momentum going forward. I know I said this earlier about the same team, but they found a way to win one late, and they're still not 100% healthy. I think DeJuan's still moving a little gingerly. And I'm thinking about the losses. Obviously, the Tech game, that was just perfect storm for Tech. They had a guy have 60 points. Like, I knew we were going to lose that game.
Also, Chris Reynolds made that schedule with us playing Baylor game day and then having to fly to Lubbock. Like, that's a Chris Reynolds special, 100%.
And I know we've lost to some pretty shitty teams on the road too. But like even the K-State game, I think we should have won that game. But that even felt like kind of a perfect storm for K-State. Like, we're coming off the best win of the year. 48 hours later, Kevin was obviously hurt.
K-State stinks, dude.
We missed free throws, and I know it's just it is their Super Bowl. Like, not even trying to be an asshole KU fan, but they're going to get up for that game. They had to win that game, so like that game doesn't even really frustrate me. So maybe they're a big game,
dude. That game I think frustrates me more than anything now because they haven't won a game outside of us since when?
Like mid-January.
Oh.
They've lost 6 of 7, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they have. They haven't won a game in over a month besides the KU game. Like, that's so bad. Just kidding. That's wrong. But since January 20th.
That's a month. It's a month on Tuesday.
People are saying that we beat Baylor without Kevin McCullough. That's just a rumor.
That's the point. I've been wanting to make this whole pod B-turn, and, like, we haven't really got to it. You've kind of hinted at it, but, like, if you just look at this team's schedule and you say, okay, here in the last 15 days, they blew out Ken Palm's number 1 team, the best defense in the country. They lose a road game at a rival, but then they also beat a top 10 team quite easily. I knew that game kind of got close late. And then they just won on the road against a top 25 team. Like, it's very funny to think how much we've been melting down. And in 15 days, they have 2 top 10 wins and a top 25 road win. and one of those top 10 wins came without an All-American. So, like,
but they came at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, I guess
I'm going to stick on this, baby. I'm just going to stick with it.
Without,
it's not the same game.
Without Kev going into the Baylor game, I think we were 8-point favorites, and it dropped to like 4 once Kev was out. I really didn't think we were going to win that game. I was struggling to see who was going to score for us. But they still controlled it. I know it's Allen. God, Allen is such an advantage. Like, how much of a point advantage is it?
A lot.
5?
Yeah. I mean, Vegas would say like 5, but I think in our minds it's 15.
Can we change the NCAA tournament format to the best seed plays at home?
We should do that.
Okay,
I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Oh, I have a random hypothetical. If we go into the Houston game, and we don't have a chance to win the Big 12, do we sit, guys?
No, Bill will not.
Hear me out. Why not? We're going to be 10-point underdogs.
We were losing by 1,000 points to Texas Tech with DeJuan Harris on a bum ankle, and he played the entire second half outside of the final tournament. I know, but
what happened?
What was he doing?
What happened in 2015 at Oklahoma when we had a couple guys banged up and exhausted, and we had already clinched the conference? It's just like, all right, well, we'll sit these guys and we'll move on. We'll focus on Kansas City and then getting blown out by Wichita State in 3 weeks.
Alrighty. That's kind of where
what happened
when you first brought up the question. The first thing that came to my mind is I think it depends how banged up we might be. Like if you have a Kevin McCullough at 80-90% or anyone on the team, I think you sit them. But if they're 100%, Bill's going to try to win because it could come down to seeding. Like if Lenardi has us as the last 2 seed,
yeah,
I don't know. And that's, I guess, Rye, you can answer his hypothetical or whatever, but I kind of have my own hypothetical going into that game as well. If you guys want to hear it.
I have a rebuttal to your response to my rebuttal.
To your hypothetical.
Here's my thought on it. What hurts KU's seeding chances more? Losing at full strength to Houston by 13 or losing with backups and Kevin out, DeJuan out, and losing by 25 when it's very clear that we did not have our full.
But here's the thing about the selection committee. We saw last year how dumb those guys are. I'm not even sure they would realize we had starters out. They'd be like, wow.
The other thing is
25, 4
how
seed.
fucking confident were you guys when
100%.
Houston lost in their conference title game?
I can't talk about it anymore. I won't do it. But my other side point is if we lose that Houston game regardless and then beat their ass at T-Mobile Center a week later, that game means nothing.
AB, I mean, this is the best question out there. Who's going to play if we sit our starters?
Play Yankovic 40 minutes. I don't give a shit. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Yankovic.
Yeah, Weird Al, dude.
That's like a porno name or something.
It's my name.
Yankovic. His dad was one of our coaches.
I don't know. Thought he decided to go foreign on us or something.
He would. He'd be a lottery pick if his last name was Yankovic.
Okay. Well, now I have just a follow-up questions about language. So, what do you guys call number 15 on the Denver Nuggets?
Jokic.
That's where my mind was.
But like AB just said, we've known this guy. This last name has been a part of Kansas basketball program for 20 years, and it's never been questioned that it was Jankovic. He's not from he's not from Europe.
That better be the first time. Okay,
I think it's one because I've definitely said Jank before, so obviously I think it's just like a random.
Mikel Yankovic is the sickest NBA player.
Oh my God, number 1 overall based off the name.
Can I get to my hypothetical? And I'm very pumped for you guys to talk about this and maybe the chat.
Yeah. Only if it involves Yank.
If we say we win the next 4 and we go into Houston, how much are we talking about potential 1 seed?
I was just thinking that.
Because you're getting a win. You're getting a really good – in that scenario, you're getting a really good road win at Baylor. The home wins probably won't do much, but teams are going to lose. Just going into Houston, and you're probably playing for a tie of the league. If you have a share of the best league in the country, how much are you talking about 1 seed, especially when you have the Big 12 tournament?
The problem, I think, is, and AB, you're the bracketology expert, but like, I think UConn has pretty much locked up a 1 seed. Purdue has pretty much locked up a 1 seed.
Yes.
And in that scenario, that means Houston's only lost 1 game since. So they've now locked up a 1 seed. So then I guess, we are battling it out with
well, I'm in this scenario, I'm saying that we're going into Houston back 1 game. So I'm saying Houston loses 1 before we play them. So
I know
it's going to take more than 1 loss.
They would only be at 4 losses.
But we'd be at 5.
Year. We'd be at 6 on the whole year and 5 in I'm just,
But if you share the league.
But they also are
and you sweep them.
Well, guys, you're missing the most important part is that when Houston loses, it's only by like 3 or 4 points. And when we lose to Texas Tech, it's by 29 points. So that's the difference maker.
But so who's the 4th on the 1 line right now?
Zona. And they won by 128 points last night.
Yeah, I don't think it would be us versus Houston for the 1 seed. I think it would be us trying to get that 4th 1 seed, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities.
My favorite question of the year, boys. Would you rather be the 1 seed in the West or the 2 seed in the Midwest? Let's do it, boys. We're almost here. 4 weeks from today, we'll have a bracket. Thank you, John.
I am getting full March mode right now. I've been checking Lenardi's Twitter a good amount. I've been checking bracket predictions, so I'm definitely getting there. But I think it's realistic we win at least 3 of the next 4. I'm not going to give us Baylor, but if we do, and then we have a chance to play for a share, and then maybe it does come down to Kansas City because you're going to have to play how many good teams to get to the championship? 2 ranked teams probably to get to the championship.
Yeah, that's the other problem with this team. And you talk about depth, but these
Johnny,
what's wrong with us tonight? We're speaking like children.
We are children.
I do have a hard time believing this team with our lack of bench production is going to have I think it's going to be really difficult to win Thursday, Friday, and Saturday against 3 really good teams. So winning the Big 12
Someone else is going to have to, though.
Yeah, I mean, Houston seems built for it, but I guess what would maybe, I know we're far away from it, but what would be like a potential path for Big 12
They put one
title?
out
Like,
today.
who's the team that we could potentially play in the second round?
I got so triggered looking at if the Big 12 tournament started today, here's the bracket, and looking at the teams playing on Tuesday night, mind you, that we added this year. We lost to fucking 3 of them. It pissed me off.
Dude, we suck.
I know.
Our losses are so bad.
We suck.
It's unfathomable,
we stuck
boys.
in the past.
We should not. You cannot lose that UCF game. I give every other loss a pass.
West Virginia's worse.
They scored
but
91.
game wise, dude,
I know.
we were up 100 points in the first half
But seeing West Virginia just
Taco Fall
trounced by everybody since that game is just driving me
really
nuts.
annoying. And the worst part about that game, do you remember at halftime? This is very niche, and you guys probably won't remember. But do you remember at halftime, and Johnny Dawkins was talking about his greatest memories as a coach, his best moments as a head coach? I shit you not. His second favorite memory as a head coach was almost beating Duke in the tournament.
I thought of that game right when Taco Fall.
Where his son missed a chip shot layup that would have won the game.
Thank God Duke didn't win it all.
That Duke tournament run made me question a lot of fucking things in my life, man, because they should have lost the UCF game. They should have lost the Virginia Tech game. Finally, January, February, Izzo got him, of course. But, like, I seriously thought that Coach K was going to snake his way to another natty.
Oh.
It just based off how those were happening.
Can you imagine
that was a great tournament.
Ryan Reinhart in 2022, the morning of the national title game, if it was Kansas Duke? Can you imagine what would be going through his head and how he?
I think I would have if we lost to Duke in the national title and we get Coach K doing his little, holding the trophy up. This is about the guys. This is not about me, but hey, I'll keep the trophy. Like, if we'd have seen all that, like, I would have just retired from being a college basketball fan. I would have never. I would have just become like I'd have become like a car guy, political guy.
It sounds like you're saying that you hate when people try and claim it's not about me. It's about the guys. It's about the team. It's not about me. Praise makes me feel uncomfortable, even though I crowned myself as the fucking king and the chosen one when I was a goddamn teenager.
You want to tell everyone what you're talking about?
Yeah, LeBron James is the biggest dork on planet Earth, man. Someone asked him if he was going to have a a farewell tour, and now that I'm seeing the similarities between Coach K and LeBron, of course he's going to have a farewell tour. Of course he fucking.
Him saying is a 50-50. It's like
50-50 shot. Bullshit. Anything's a 50-50 shot if you want to be technical about it. It's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. 50-50. Shout out to Riley Kyle. Riley Kyle can't speak. I'm just passionate about this, dude. When I saw that quote, I genuinely was upset. I haven't felt upset about LeBron since the COVID title.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing? I can't wait to hear you try and defend him.
But I'm not going to. When I say LeBron's the best basketball player of all time, I don't say, hey, LeBron's the best basketball player of all time, and he's also the least dorkiest basketball player of all time. I fully accept that LeBron says outrageous things, and it's what I said to you before we started recording. He's a guy that at age 16, everyone around him realized he was going to be a human ATM. They knew if I touch this kid, I will be a rich, rich man. Not that way. If I get in his circle, I will be a rich, rich man. And so ever since that day, this guy has never been told by anyone he's around that, LeBron, you shouldn't say that. LeBron, that kind of felt, that sounds a little douchier. LeBron, he's just been surrounded by yes men his entire adult life. And so he's going to say outrageous quotes because nobody's around to be like, LeBron.
So you're not wrong on this, but having a million yes men in your life is getting constant praise. So you're telling me he's just been uncomfortable in his day-to-day life?
No, I'm saying the quote was wrong. I mean, the quote, I agree with you that LeBron should get roasted for the quote. He's the most obvious praise guy of all time. I'm just saying, when you see a quote like that, and you're like, I got to go talk to Ryan. Like, I think LeBron's this humble dude. I just think he's better at basketball than Michael Jordan. That's it.
Well, I don't know about that. But the other I had something just on a lock right here, and I just forgot it. I'm
doggone it.
I know.
If you want to talk more LeBron, we can, dude. But I want to go over one last thing.
Well, I do. My last comment on him is that this tweet got brought up recently, but it was 5 or 6 years ago. It was like, LeBron's only 34 years old. This will all be over soon. And he's still fucking going.
I think that guy
which says a lot
in 2013.
Yeah. And that obviously adds to LeBron's legacy. I'm not trying to take away from that, but good God, I'm just ready for it to be done. But there is an NBA problem though. Who are the stars once he and Steph are gone and Durant are gone?
Luka.
Sure, but no one knows who. Yeah, no one knows who.
I
Luka
thought about
is.
that too.
All the stars are international dudes that none of us. Everyone, I know what brain. I get it, but I don't know if he's going to carry a league. I don't know if SGA is going to carry a league. I don't know if Anthony Edwards is going to carry a league. And maybe it's part of, but I guess that doesn't really make sense because LeBron came out of high school and Kobe came out of high school and all these guys, but it just feels like there's a big disconnect, and the NBA is still going NBA Saturday night, only thing on TV. We're going LeBron versus Steph, and it's the best game you'll ever see. It's fucking awesome.
But isn't it? I mean, I know you said it, but I feel like Wemby has a shot to be that. He's the first guy since LeBron that I think has been kind of put on that extra level, but I don't know. I don't pay enough attention. Is he even coming close to living up to it?
Real, dude.
I mean, he
had a triple-double with blocks the other day.
Okay, so he is as good as advertised. They just suck so bad.
I guess the first name.
This man's not playing in the league, boys. He's not.
He's starting at the 2 next year for the Lakers, brother. And I don't think it's going to be deserved. But LeBron's, you want to talk about yes men? LeBron's going to turn his son, who should come off the bench in the Pac-12, into an NBA starter. It's going to be the most funny thing ever.
Wait, is LeBron, is he actually leaving no matter where Bronny goes?
He does have a player option this year. He said he's not sure if he's going to sign.
I saw what he can do to get him to the Lakers roster.
Dude, I read, and I don't know how true it is, but they said the Lakers are open to exploring Bronny being on the team next year, which
that obviously feels like something you have to say.
Yeah.
And then LeBron retires the next year, and then what if Bronny just stinks and you spend a first rounder on him?
Well, the other thing, if you want to really criticize LeBron, it would be a flat out mistake to let Bronny leave college and go to the NBA, because I do think Bronny has an NBA career ahead of him if he could stay and just develop more. But if you take him there now, and
I mean, who's to say Braun can't play 2 years from now, though?
he definitely can. I think he will.
He could do that.
Yeah.
Let Bronny go back for his sophomore year when he transfers to KU for El Marco Jackson, and
Adidas wearer Bronny James.
yeah. God, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I guess Tatum came to mind, but I don't see it there. He's just young. Luka, yeah, he's 24. I thought Giannis and Joker, but they're
it's
around 30 years old.
Guys,
but no, you're right. You're totally right.
I don't know that like whole basis
Shea?
of like average in like I'm a very casual NBA fan, and I can recognize that Luke is awesome and Jokic is awesome and SGA is awesome. Anthony Edwards is awesome. I don't get like star power, like have to watch this guy when he's on TV, like I would get when Steph and the Warriors were awesome, or when LeBron and the Heat were playing against the Celtics or something like that. It felt a little bit different, and maybe we're just getting older and disconnecting from it a little bit, and I don't know. It could be that, but I just don't have it feels a little bit different with the current stars, even though they might be just as good. I mean, statistically, they're just as good.
Well, I think that you got to have, well, I guess this will sound stupid, but like
Luka's only 24.
You need Luka playing Jokic in the conference finals, and you need Luka playing Tatum in the like you need those rivalries like LeBron and Steph and LeBron and the Celtics, and like we just haven't. I guess Giannis and who did the Nuggets beat in the finals this year?
Oh, the Nuggets beat the Heat. Bam Adebayo is not the guy that's leading.
Yeah,
them, you know?
And then you have the Nuggets beating Giannis beating. My God, the Suns, Phoenix, like that was before, like they didn't really have the star power next to Giannis. So you just have.
And who else was it? Warriors Celtics was in there mixed in. And that was probably the most exciting I was to watch. It
could be Tatum just because they might come out of the East quite a bit. I know you got Milwaukee and stuff, but he's 25. Luka, that's the issue with Dallas too, is Dallas going to be a team that makes runs in the playoffs? You got two really good guards, him and Kyrie, But
hey, we might start getting into super team talk here in a few years with guys like Luka and like wanting out and things like that, which could change things. But
yeah, rings matter a ton with your legacy.
As much as we joke about like the LeBron versus MJ debate, and like you kind of need that stuff. You really like you're gonna go 5 to 10 years in the NBA at a minimum without having a conversation about who the best player of all time is.
Right. Well, and it's also the NBA is such like a dynasty-ridden league over the last 50 years. Like if you go back, LeBron played in 8 straight finals, 7. How many was it? A ton.
8 or 9.
But like, and that's awesome. Right. But like, I feel like
count.
when you have, and Jordan played in 6 of 8 whenever he was in the league, and like you have and Kobe played in 4 out of 5, 3 out of whatever it was. You can go back even further, but like I feel like when guys are consistently in the finals, like you were kind of saying, when these guys need to go up against each other, it just adds to the legacy and adds to
8 straight for Braun.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. Like you need. I'm trying to think of what the best rivalry we could see is. I mean, Giannis and Wemby. If like, you know, I guess Giannis is getting up there now in age, kind of, isn't he? I mean, not really, but
all things considered.
Yeah, but like, can you imagine like 3 out of the next 5 years you see Giannis versus Wemby, which isn't going to happen. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe you need someone other than Giannis to be Wemby's like rival. But yeah, that's what you need. It just wow, NBA talk, boys.
It felt good. I haven't talked to NBA in a while.
And I know, like, literally, I'm just out here slinging from the hip. I don't know anything about the NBA because, like you said, LeBron going to West Coast was really a bad thing for me because I used to love watching those Cavs games that start at, like, 7 p.m. Like, that was great. Now it's, like, no chance am I staying up to watch the Lakers on the West Coast.
I was just losing control laughing a little bit ago because who was the player that AB thought LeBron was going to get? And he was like screaming in the car.
Kawhi. Literally had like a unhinged meltdown, wouldn't speak to us because AB thought Kawhi was going to team up with Anthony Davis and LeBron. And like, I mean, it was the most mad I've ever seen AB in my entire life. Wouldn't speak to us. Just stopped talking. Got out of the car, shut the door, didn't say bye to us. It was crazy behavior. And it wasn't even official. I think we got tricked by like that fake LA insider kid who was like in high school.
It was a tough time. It was a real tough time. And as mad as I was even more excited when I woke up that one morning and he signed with the Clippers at like 3 a.m. I texted you guys like, fuck yeah, boys. We don't have to deal with this shit. But looking back, I shouldn't have been as upset because if Kawhi would have gone there, adds a lot of fuel to my hatred for LeBron. Adds a lot of, Super Team Bron. Super Team Bron.
It was. It would have been
was so dramatic.
It was.
He was yelling and then he just stopped talking. He shut the door and just slowly moped inside.
It was like
you guys went to Austin's without me, and I was like, I just couldn't even go fathom to eat at a bar.
And he was like, I'm not going to dinner anymore. He was so mad over literally ended up being a just fake source guy.
Oh boy,
so funny.
It's a good time.
Okay. I don't know why I want to bring this up so badly, but I said this earlier and you guys kind of like seem to not believe me, but like Iowa State's going to win the Big 12, boys. And I think they're going to do it potentially outright. So they're going to lose tomorrow at Houston. But then they get West Virginia at home at Hilton, that's a win. Then they get then they get OU at Hilton, that's a win. Then they get on the road at UCF. That's probably a win, unless you're Kansas. Then you get BYU at Hilton. That's a win. And then you go to K-State, who, unless you're Kansas, again, is not beating Iowa State.
You don't just walk into Bramlage Coliseum and expect a W.
But either way, I kind of think Iowa State is for sure sharing the title.
So let me ask you this. Where does Houston lose?
That's the issue. I can't stop. I mean, last night I was in deep thought about who we need to win or who we need to lose, and I think we literally need Iowa State to lose.
Well, Houston has to go to Baylor.
And to OU. We think OU stinks, but it's on the road. I know. But we would just need Houston to lose one, because then we go in there in the scenario we're hoping we're one back, go in there with a chance to share the title.
Like, is it weird that it's not even – I don't care about that much about winning the Big 12 title. I just want to have that feeling in the final week of thinking we could. And, like, imagine us on the pod be like, boys, Bill Self on the road with the Big 12 on the road on the line. Like, we're winning 100%. This is what Bill Self does.
That's what
I can't wait for that pod. We will do that. We will convince ourselves that we are going to go into Houston and win. We'll be 9-point underdogs, and we're going to be like, nope, Bill Self will do it.
Remember when the streak was ending?
Win that game.
When the streak ended and we were going into that OU game, I think we were 2 back in the conference with 2 to play, and we're like, we just need to keep winning, boys. Just need to keep winning. Got our asses kicked.
We won at TCU in overtime. Just a bad TCU team too. And we were like, we're back. We're so back. No,
I was halfway expecting that today on this episode from you guys.
Leinster?
Pressure him to say that we're all the way back to do one against an average team on the road. Yeah.
Dude, he was like tweeting us after, or someone
he took it serious, dude. Yeah, he called you out. And then we recorded maybe the greatest episode we ever recorded.
I kind of already asked this, but if we do win the next 4, how far up on the 2 line do we go on Lunardi's thing? Like, do we go to the first 2 seed? Do we go? That's why I'm saying, are we going to get our hopes up for a 1 if we're moving to like the 5th overall seed or the 6th? And you beat Houston at their place, and then you have Big 12 tournament where you're going to play, if you do advance deep into that tournament, you're going to play 2 or 3 ranked teams.
I just 1 seed. Wait, you just said if we win at Houston?
Yeah.
I mean, if we win
That's what I'm
Houston,
saying.
I think we're going to get a 1 seed.
I thought earlier you said no because they hadn't lost as many games as us this year.
Well, I'm saying that I think if that happens, I think Houston and KU would both get 1 seeds. I guess what I was saying earlier is I don't think we can knock Houston off the 1 line unless they like lose 3 more here. But
no, that's all I was saying. Like, if we win the next 4, where are we at on 1 seed talk? Like, are we gonna? Because we could be like the 5th or 6th overall seed. And then if we go into that game, what if we win? Because you would sweep Houston.
Yeah, I guess I think we'd probably be a 1 seed heading into the big. I think Houston would stay a 1 and we would be a 1. Do you think that, AB?
It's so early to tell.
And I mean, Arizona, like, it's just so funny looking at other conferences, dude. Like, Arizona gets to play Joe Yesufu. They get to play Washington. They get to go to Arizona State, which I have no idea, but I think they're bad. They have Oregon at home. They have at the road at UCLA, who is so bad. And then they go to the Fighting Bronny Jameses to wrap up the season. Like, I don't know where Arizona is losing the rest of the season, but they've lost some stinkers, so you never know.
Well, honestly, going back to last selection Sunday, I don't know how much seeding matters. So,
but I think what does matter is the selection committee getting it right, whereas last year they clearly did not. And this may be the conspiracy theory, not conspiracy theories. It's bad, wrong word. Do we think the selection committee getting it so wrong last year led to one of the most uneventful tournaments in a long time? Like, it sucks. The tournament was not
thinking
fun.
About the teams that made the Final Four last year. What seeds were they?
4, 5, 5, and 9.
Like, our
I think Miami
region.
was 5. Huh? San Diego State was a 5. UConn was a 4.
Florida
Atlantic was a 9, and Miami was a 5. I believe.
So it made me think about how stinky college basketball is. Like, if our fans don't think KU can make a run, then
yeah, and
just don't watch the tournament.
That's the thing.
Way worse teams.
We are going to probably, I think, let's say we're a 2 seed. We're going to be a double-digit favorite in our first round game, but in our second round game, it'll be a less than 5-point favorite, I bet. And then from there on out, everything will be coin flip games. So, like, if this team makes a run, it's just going to be from winning 1 possession games late, I think. Kind of like 2012.
UConn was a 4. Yeah, 4, 5, 5, 9.
What was UConn on KenPom heading into the tournament? Didn't our region have 3 top 10 teams in KenPom?
Dude, had to have. We were so mad. It was like the season being over when that shit dropped.
Yeah.
It went from
all right, opposite of 2022.
We got screwed on region. Maybe they'll give us a nice draw. Worst.
Arkansas, UConn.
Who was our 2?
UCLA was the 2. Gonzaga was the 3. I mean, it was stacked, dude.
That's the best region of all time.
It really was. And that's why the tournament sucked, because all the good teams were in the one region.
Well, how much does the tournament affect your ending KenPom rankings, AB? They finished at 3 offense, 7 defense, UConn.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what they were pre-tourney, and this is just not working for me.
I love that we just ask AB questions like he is KenPom.
Yeah.
Hey,
surprise. Have you ever seen me and KenPom in the same room? Nope.
That's what really sucked about the Arkansas game is even if we won that game, I felt like we were getting pumped the next week. Even though that would have been an electric because it would have been KU, UConn, Gonzaga, and UCLA, right?
Yeah.
All in the same venue in Vegas.
Yeah, we ruined that.
We ruined that.
God, what was I going to say?
I have a question about the Natty. Is there a single team you guys feel comfortable saying could win the Natty? I'm not saying this to like hype up KU because I don't think that, obviously I think they could get hot and go on a run and win some close games. I'm not going to predict them to. I don't think it's likely, but we'd be crazy to say it's not possible. But like if you go through there's I feel like 3 fairly consistent top-rated teams, and it's Purdue, UConn, and Houston. Purdue just lost to Ohio State, who had to fire their coach this week.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I missed that.
Ohio
when
State
did that happen?
This afternoon.
Purdue, man, they're so.
And that was a classic interim coach bump. But like I will never trust Purdue to go win a national championship. It's impossible to go back to back in a 64 or 68 team single elimination tournament. So that's my issue with UConn. Houston still got to prove it to me, especially in the tournament. Even their Final Four run. People talk about soft draws. talk about a soft draws with them.
I tweeted this the other day. I got to find the tweet. It's crazy.
It was bananas. That Houston's tournament run in 2021 when they went to the Final Four was the biggest joke of a run I've ever seen in my entire life.
I can't wait to read you this tweet. I tweet about it like probably once every 6 months.
Wasn't it last year too? And they just kind of shit the bed in the game in Kansas City.
I remember
because
Houston made the Final Four in 2021 without playing a single team ranked in the top 20 of the KenPom for an entire season. They made a Final Four run, didn't play a top 20 KenPom team, not just in the tournament, not just in conference play, the entire season. It's the biggest joke of a Final Four run you will ever have, and I actually don't think it will ever happen again. There's just no way.
And like, if just looking at it now, the moment they played one, they lost by 100 points to Baylor in the Final Four.
Which Baylor was a wagon, but
I think that started the Houston's a fraud.
Boy, did I enjoy our run in 2022.
I didn't. Wouldn't recommend. I should never do that again.
I was so terrified of Nova, and then Justin Moore was hurt. Obviously, you don't want guys hurt, but it's like, oh my God.
Do you guys think we're insufferable?
Our fans?
Yeah, us three, the fans, whatever, where it's just like
that question.
Like we're talking about.
Somebody just clip that. Do you guys think we're insufferable?
It's the blunt ones.
But like I tweet it every time we win a championship. The run that we're on as sports fans is just ridiculous. So it's like we hop on this pod. I guess this one's at us, but it's also KU Twitter where they melt down over a regular season loss in Lubbock. But like, boys, we have it better than anyone else in the sports world right now. And every time a minor thing goes wrong, we act like the world's ending. And that's got to be annoying to the outside world. Because I know it was annoying when Boston was on that run with the Red Sox, Patriots, Bruins, Celtics. They just kept winning every year. It was insufferable to watch them complain about whether it be officiating or whether it be a tough draw or a tough matchup or something not going their way. I would get very annoyed from the outside looking in. So do you, I guess, to answer your question, Brayden, are we all insufferable?
Yeah, it kind of makes me think about, when you brought up Boston, it makes me think about like the game at Arrowhead where we pumped them in the regular season on Monday night. And the next day, the articles are like, is Tom Brady done? Blah, blah, blah. Like that happened so many times throughout his career where they would lose a regular season game. And it kind of brings me back to the Chiefs this year, where in the regular season, our fans are just losing it. After every game, every loss, the Bills game, like the Raiders game was the worst by far. And I obviously was worried after that one too. But yeah, after losing regular season games, like a 17-game season, where the stakes aren't very high. Like, yeah, seeding matters, but you just got to get in. That was always Brady's thing. Like, just get in, give ourselves a chance, and then you have as good a shot as anyone. So, yeah, I think both fan bases have gotten insanely spoiled. And I was thinking about it last night. Like, if I wasn't a Chiefs fan, how would I feel about Chiefs fans? And
I mean, what I love about it is that we knew this would happen, but like, everyone hates the Chiefs. Everyone hates, like, the way we've dealt with KU basketball being thought of as, oh, they get all the call. Like, we dominated the Big 12, and all of a sudden it became a ref conspiracy theory thing. Like, oh, Kansas, the refs are on their side, which don't understand why that would make any sense. And now obviously, the Chiefs stuff has been hilarious because, again, I think you've both pointed this out, but, like, the NFL does not need Kansas City being the top market, or like the most talked about team in the league. It's not what they want. So it's hilarious. But I will say this, AB, when it comes to being insufferable or not, yes, people are going to find this region of the country insufferable right now, but it's also just like anything else in life. You make more money, you want more money. You win more championships, you want more championships. Your expectations go way up. So now you don't watch a Chiefs game like you did in the early, like 10 years ago, being like, man, I would love to get to a conference championship game. Like, just get to go win a home game in the playoffs. So like now it's like when you're seeing the meltdown in the regular season, I don't think people are really melting down. And same with KU basketball. We're not melting down because KU lost that game. I think a lot of times we're melting down because we're like telling ourselves that we can't go then win a national title. I think that's how I am, at least.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
acting
fair.
like a child.
It's just something that I noticed on Monday. We're literally 24 hours removed from winning a Super Bowl. Third and 5 years, excuse me. And the same people that were pumped about it on Twitter that Sunday were just, it was almost like they were suicidal on Monday watching that game.
Regular season game.
Yeah. I had one more thing. Oh, just a random nugget, and I think this is true. Fact check me. Is it 5 years in a row that we've either had a Chiefs Super Bowl appearance or a KU national championship run?
I believe
So I'm thinking 2019-20 won the Super Bowl. 2020-2021 went to the Super Bowl. 2021-2022 lost to Cincy, but won the national championship, and then won the last two Super Bowls. That's
so
that is an outrageous run for us boys.
And then even factor in the Royals into that.
Oh yeah, no, it's a crazy stretch.
You could even sneak 2012 Kansas into there too. So like that's a national title game. 2014,
2020.
Yeah. That's actually the most painful thing that's probably happened to us though. So that's
2018. So yeah, I mean if you go back to 2018, we've either been in a conference championship or a Final Four.
We're just in the mix, as they say. We're just always in the mix.
It's a joke of a fucking thing, dude.
Yeah,
we're going to be so miserable when Bill Self and Patrick Mahomes retire.
Yeah, but we're going to have like kids and shit. Like we're just going to, I guess people in here, I guess you continue to be diehard fans. I know people in here have kids, but like.
We're going to have sex.
I just kind of think that.
Can't wait for that experience for the first time, boys.
I just know, like my brother has kids and he's just like does not care about sports at all. Hardly. They're not.
Was he like you
sure.
pre-kids?
No, he kind of lost it. Like even back when he got, I don't know. Maybe like when he got married, he even lost interest. Whereas like we've all talked about how we watch way less college basketball as we've gotten older. But like NBA, I don't watch any of that because I got it. Like you got to pick your battles. You can't be like, hey, I'm watching. Oh. We're going to every KU game. We're watching every KU game. We're watching the big college basketball games. I can't be like, oh, also we're watching NBA on Friday night.
There's only so many times you can pull this is a really big game. You can only pull that card so many times. And for KU, it appears to be every single one. So
I feel like 5 years ago or so, or however long, like there's no way we would miss watching like a Duke North Carolina game.
I know.
Now I'm just like going about my day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like Duke, UNC, biggest rivalry in the sport. There's no way.
But also Shire and Hubert just ain't doing it for me.
I also think COVID kind of ruined that a little bit because we lived for 4 months without a single sporting event and we kind of just got used to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, at least for me, like honestly, pre-COVID, I couldn't go one day without watching sports. Also, now, regardless, I'm going to follow it on Twitter. I'm going to see things that happen. I go many days in a week without watching a game.
Yeah, I also think our attention spans have just gotten so bad that, like, I'm like, I'll watch a YouTube video instead of watching sports now. Or I'll watch TikTok because I need a new dopamine hit every 30 seconds. I can't sit around and watch it. 2-hour basketball game? No chance.
Speaking of attention, I don't even know if attention span ties into this. Why can't the men's league
double?
Why can't
3?
Why can't the old NCAA Men's Basketball Association just copy women's basketball? I watched a 30-second clip on Twitter this morning of the end of the Oregon State UCLA game. There were 4 straight scoring possessions in the final 20 seconds. You know why? Because they just advance the ball after timeouts, and it keeps the games alive. And they play 4 quarters instead of 2 halves. It's the same organization making the rules. They're playing the same sport. Like, why can they not do that? It just doesn't.
It's the only basketball league in the world that does halves.
Yeah,
and not quarters.
It's insane.
And then you're in the bonus for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you advance the ball?
Right, and it's like the NCAA clearly is open to it if they've done it for the women's game. Is the women's game sneaky in a better spot than the men's game? Healthy debate, boys, because
they keep
they've
bringing
got stars.
Caitlin Clark through. I mean, Caitlin Clark is bigger than any
best ever
men's basketball player, college player has been in like I don't even know how long.
Why is the old KU alum Lynette? Why is she not getting any credit for a scoring record? What's the actual reasoning behind that? Was it not NCAA yet? Was it not like?
Somebody wrote an article about this, and I did not read it.
Well,
But
it just bothered me. I like when KU gets their dick sucked, and I figured they might for a little bit with all the Caitlin Clark stuff and make you feel good about something. But it's like no one knows because
Old dick sucking.
yeah, I don't know. Also, she did it without 3-pointers, didn't she?
Yeah.
So,
Caitlin.
but I mean, Caitlin Clark is truly.
Oh yeah, not trying to take away anything from her.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well.
Don't go Jay Williams over here. God, that guy's
What a weirdo.
Dork. And who was the lady on the podcast that was like discrediting Caitlin Clark?
Swope, who just got it all wrong.
All wrong. She's like, well, the extra COVID year. The extra COVID year is when Caitlin Clark has done it. And then you look and she's like, well, she hasn't used an extra COVID year. She's doing it in fewer games. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? It was like a 2-minute rant where she was so confident and no one called her out on it. Like
so
she was
Jay Williams
wrong on
pretty
everything.
much said that because she hasn't won a title.
Yeah. Like
to not label her great in a one and done format at Iowa.
My mind went to Kenny Smith.
When there's multiple like women's programs that just run.
Yeah. Like
women's basketball,
could have
South
gone
Carolina,
to UConn and probably never lost a game in 4 years. Or like if she would have just followed the route, like I know Taurasi did that. Like she went and then Maya Moore, like wow, boys. NBA, women's basketball, we are doing it all tonight.
All inclusive, baby.
Yeah, but Caitlin Clark going to Iowa, which I would argue Iowa is the most boring major basketball like brand out there.
You're going to upset us. A very good friend of yours.
I know, but he'll be all right. He definitely doesn't listen.
That's fine.
Caitlin Clark's electric. I love watching. I would rather, like, if I have the choice, if it's Iowa women's basketball playing in a big game, or I could watch like Tennessee, Auburn, and men's basketball, I'm 100% picking Caitlin Clark, which would have never happened back in the day. So shout out Kenny Clark. But yeah, Jay Williams, absolute idiot. I don't know. I just went on a rant without.
Someone said thoughts on dunk contest last night. I thought the judges stunk. Mac McClung is electric. I thought pretty much every dunk was a 50 to me. I don't know how some of Jaylen Brown's dunks were rated higher, but I don't know how to change the dunk contest. I guess you can get current players that are kind of with the shit. I don't know. It was weird. Like they were talking about Gary Payton being strict before it even started. And I thought some of his scores stunk.
Dude, Jacob Toppin had like the second best dunk of the night, and it got a 47. He didn't make the second round.
So, yeah, All-Star weekend, it almost – I mean, yeah, it's an accomplishment to be an All-Star, but it almost feels pointless at this point.
It just sucks. And
Jaylen Brown wants to do the dunk contest.
And Jaylen Brown did not help the cause of getting stars to do the dunk contest because he just got absolutely roasted.
But made the final.
But he shouldn't have. Like, he was bad. Everything he did was just, snooze fest.
And, yeah, someone just brought up Kenny Smith, but good Lord, he was loaded.
Jesus,
that was weird. He was bad last night.
And
I didn't watch a second.
Sabrina chose to shoot from the NBA line. It's not like they forced her to do that. And she still balled. Like, I thought she could have won.
She put up the same number that Lillard did, who won the 3-point contest.
That, like, in the first round of the normal contest, like 3 or 4 guys had 26.
Yeah.
I think 4 guys because they had a shoot off. So she literally did what all those guys did from the line. But he's trying to say, like, since the ball is lighter, she's using a women's ball, she should shoot from the women's line. Like, I thought she did as well as she could. I think she could have shot from the women's line and still put up 26, which would still be a good score.
The thing about like the Jay Williams thing and the Cheryl Swoops thing is like, and we are guilty of it. Podcasts being so easy to make has allowed a lot of microphones to be put in idiots' faces.
Yeah, and it's dangerous.
It is dangerous, but at least we know that we are idiots.
That's actually been on my mind a lot recently. Like the whole, seriously, I'm dead serious. Like anyone, and not only the fact that anyone can have an opinion, it feels like everyone thinks they need to have opinion on every single thing that happens. And it's like, not to get too, because I'm not like a journalism freak or anything. I don't really care that much, but it's like we wonder why there's so much fake shit that flies around and rumors and this like discourse of everything's rigged or everyone always has an issue with something or this is wrong or this guy's not very good or this guy's awesome and he's really not. It's just like, it's a disaster currently, and I don't see a way that it's going to get any better at all.
Yeah, because people like with importance say something and then people run with it like it's gospel. Like they think that's what it is. And then they say it, other people start to say it. That's why like even Jaylen Brown, he was wearing the left glove last night. That became a thing all over social media. Jaylen Brown stinks. You can't dribble with his left hand. He's a fucking all-star and a really good basketball player. So like people say this shit about athletes, and then it's just like it constantly goes on for months that this athlete stinks and they can't do this. Like just because someone with importance or a blue check or something says something and then they run with it like it's the truth.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the biggest example is Brock Purdy in my mind, because and I know Nick Wright said a lot of the same stuff, but like, does anyone actually think Brock Purdy sucks at football? No. And it's like, I see people all the time. They're like, oh, why are you discrediting Brock Purdy? Why are you doing this? It's like, I think he's fine. I think he does what that team needs. I also can say that I don't think he's a top 5 fucking MVP candidate in football. Like just because I don't think he's one of the 5 most valuable players in the sport doesn't mean I think he's incapable of leading a team to conference championships with a chance to win the Super Bowl. Like, it's like people completely forget the middle ground. And it's like, well, if you don't think he's the MVP of the league, you must think he sucks and doesn't deserve to be alive. And it's just so, it happens with every sport. It doesn't even have to be sports, political, business, television. Well, it's just so draining, and it makes me like frustrated when I get on Twitter because now I have to get in the For You page is ruined my life.
I got a great tip for you. When it comes to Twitter. I'll tell you about it in a second. But like you were saying, the Jay Williams thing is just like, why was there even a discussion around whether or not Caitlin Clark is great? Everyone in the world agrees that Caitlin Clark is great. It is so stupid that was even a clip. Like, why are we even discussing things? And we have to, and it's the classic Skip Bayless thing, right? Like, it's just, that's what gets, and I would bet the most viewed clip from game day this weekend was Jay Williams saying that. So that's why it works.
It's gotten sad. That's
but
what
it's like, oh my God, what are we debating? Who we would all agree is the most exciting women's basketball player we've ever watched, if she's great or not. And she's 22 years old. Like, oh, it's so stupid. It's all so stupid.
That's what it's come to, bro. Yeah, like hot takes and just clicks, and it's sad. And it probably has to do with, like you guys said, how many podcasts there are. Like, you're going to hear a lot of the same stuff. But if you can put together a clip of you firing off a hot take, kind of like Will Compton does with the Chiefs, like all year long, and then people fall for it and he gets attention like me, it triggers me. I don't know why, but that's literally what it's coming to, is hot takes and clicks, like for you to get listens or for you to get attention. So I just think it's sad. Like, I think people should be authentic, genuine, but I guess at the same time I get it because it works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think I know I am, I'm sure we could find examples of all 3 of us. We're kind of guilty of doing the same thing sometimes. Now, we're openly saying we're dumbasses and idiots, but to act like I don't have a take that I 100% believe that I go into it. Like when I said K-State wasn't winning a game in February last year, yeah, that might have been a little bit of a reach to get some reaction from people. I do that a lot. But I think overall, as a whole, we're a very, very, very small pebble in this whole conversation. But when it gets to like bigger names and people that have built such a big following that just don't know what they're talking about, it's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
But here's my advice on the Twitter For You page and the thing, and I got to go after this, and I think we should probably just wrap this up.
Yeah. We're still holding strong on listeners, though.
I know. I was getting so frustrated at the fact that I could not get on. I hate how it auto takes you to For You, and I'm like, I'm so sick of my For You page being filled with KU State fans arguing stupid political stuff. Like, so what I did, and I don't know if it'll fully work. I just did it last week, so it's only been a few days now. I went and just created like a separate Twitter account that I'll never tweet from it. I will never do anything.
Burner account, Rod?
Yeah, I literally have a burner account. I literally have a burner account. But what I did is I then just it refreshes your whole algorithm. It doesn't know that I'm a KU K-State, like I'm in that ecosystem. It doesn't know all the other
who do you
things.
follow on it?
Well,
Like,
then it allows you to restart and kind of like, it asks you, like, what are you interested in? You can put sports, you can put college basketball, you can put business, finance. So like I did all that side of things because sometimes I just wanted to get on Twitter and not stare at special team, like KSU burner versus KU burner screaming at each other. Like I can't do that. And
it's not a bad idea. I applaud you for it because it's, honestly, like I'm sure getting on Twitter is a much better experience for you right now. Yeah. But I will say, even though I get annoyed with the For You page 8 out of 10 times, I saw a tweet last night where it was a picture of Sydney Sweeney and someone quoted and said, the guy said, if she farted in my car, I'd roll the windows up. And it was so like I can't pass up those gyms, and there's multiple of them every day.
I'm not done with Twitter. All right. I'm leaving.
That was awesome.
Why did that upset you so much?
He doesn't like farts, dude.
We're so off the rails. We're so off the rails. Go ahead.
Is this not the most fuckable piece of clothing in the history of the world?
Oh my God. This is going to get pulled from YouTube.
Notorious.
What do you mean? People cuss all the time.
I don't know.
Like Christopher Wallace.
Yeah. My guy.
God, what was I? Oh yeah, it was pretty miserable this week with the stuff that happened in Kansas City. So it's like
Jesus.
I don't even know, dude. It just comes down to like politics and conspiracy theories, and it's just like, dude, I really don't want to see it. Like, just say you're thinking and praying about the stuff that to the families that this happened to. Don't bring in conspiracies and just jump to conclusions. And I don't know, dude. It's just crazy. Like, because people were already sending pictures of like who might have been involved, and then people are like running with it and like saying it was a terrorist attack and all this stuff. It's like,
just let the facts come out.
Lord, man.
But that's the thing. Everyone's got opinions. Everyone's got takes. Everyone's got, whether they're sports, political, whatever. It's just, I don't trust humanity enough to fucking not be stupid and not come up with these dumb narratives and spread them like crazy. And a lot of these accounts have hundreds of thousands of followers that all are believing everything they say. And we don't have to get too deep in it. I can go all night, but like,
yeah, I got to go eat dinner. I wasn't actually leaving because of your Sydney Sweeney tweet. I just really want to leave and go eat dinner because I'm hungry.
It is 8 p.m. and we've gone for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. Sorry, your friend wants her to fart on him.
Dude.
All right. Well, thank you.
He said, dude.
Thank you all for listening. Again, the fact that we held pretty strong on listens this entire time is hilarious. I don't know why people listen to this, but subscribe.
This is like 15 episodes in a row where we end the episode and we're like, well, we should have said subscribe at the beginning, and then we wait. We just always forget. We're dummies.
Yeah. Hey, so chat, next episode, get in the comments and start spamming it with the word subscribe, so I remember to remind everyone at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
If you're anything like us, you'll forget until we mention it at the end.
Yes. Sounds good. All right, boys. This was a blast. Thank you all for listening. We will see you maybe midweek. I don't know. Going to be weird. No KU games. So we'll see what happens. But, that's it. Rock Chalk.